Wake up, New Orleans. Good morning. Good morning. Happy Wednesday, y'all. Happy hump day. Listen, it is a wonderful morning. I am your host, Dr. Ashanta Wyatt. My super producer, Nyron Sanders, is behind the glass. And wherever you are, OT, we miss you over here. So listen, it is quite the Wednesday. And if you don't know, the number here is 504-582-9422 because I suspect that we're going to be in some conversation today. I want to first start talking about the sustainment period that the federal, the judge decided to put New Orleans under, and I don't think it's going over well with the folk who actually want the consent decree to end. There's a statement here that I want to read from Attorney General Liz Murrill. She doesn't seem pleased with the sustainment period. And what it says is every minute of every day that NOPD is spending in federal court is time not spent focusing on protecting the public. The so-called sustainment period approved today is nothing more than a fake and empty promise. At NOPD News deserves better. So it also goes on to say in this screenshot of a comment, it says NOPD should have been released from federal court supervision 2 years ago. Instead, this morning, Judge Susie Morgan denied the city's request for termination and expanded the list of things NOPD must do to get out. The judge also denied my request, trying to see who this court is attributed to enroll in the case and assist the city and NOPD. I'm going to assume that my request is also, this statement is also being attributed to the Attorney General, but I'll look into it. It says, I look forward to appealing these orders in the Fifth Circuit. It is time to end this now. I don't know if that's the Attorney General's second part of that statement is from her or not. But what I do know is there are a lot of opponents of coming out of the consent decree, one being the New Orleans United Front. And the letter from the New Orleans United Front, authored by Belden Batiste, laid out some specific reasons as to why we should not come from under federal oversight. The one that I'm most attached to is this idea of protecting the general public and protecting us from over-policing and protecting us from this idea that once the president-elect is installed, we know that he is an advocate for blanket immunity for police officers. And to me, that is a very scary thought, to have officers rogue policing and there's really no guardrails and any parameters on the way that they do business. And so I for one am concerned about that. I think that we deserve to have some more belief in how the process is going in terms of all of these words that doesn't give us comfort, like mostly and partially. Like, we want to make certain that when it comes to the non-negotiables that we have successfully done those things and there's just no other way around that. And so it's a little bit weird because it says that the order by the judge gives NOPD or gives the city the opportunity to start the process of removal from the consent decree. But then there's also that sustainment period that kind of holds them there for an additional, I think, two years, I want to say. But so I don't really know. Maybe I thought we were going to be in conversation with the Attorney General today, so we could have gotten some more answers. And maybe OT is listening and he could give us some more insight as to what that means, or any council member who is listening maybe can call in and give us some more insight as to what that means. But I know that the statement I read from the Attorney General, she doesn't seem pleased with the idea of a sustainment period. I think she wants to come out, and she wants to come out now, as in today. And I know there are opponents that want us to stay in and make certain that we can tighten up some of the infrastructure of what that agreement would look like before we just give full autonomy back to the NOPD in terms of their the way that they police here in the city. And so if you're listening and you have some insight on as to how this is moving forward, maybe Belden Batiste is listening and he can talk to us about his letter and why he wants to continue under the federal consent decree. The number is 504-582-9422. So if anyone calls, we'll jump back to that part of the day. But I don't know if y'all are under a rock, but I know I'm not. And I was watching this the conversation that was happening between Texas Democratic Representative Jasmine Crockett and South Carolina Republican Congressman Nancy Mace, who sparred during a contentious House Oversight Committee meeting, continued their spat on social media with one calling the other a Karen. If you're not familiar with what I'm getting ready to talk about, um, the gentle lady from Texas was speaking, and she used the word child, as we do, like child please. But see, that's when you don't understand cultural competencies, right? It wasn't a slight against you. Nobody was calling you a child as in child. She was saying child please as if to say, girl, what? Or man, I know you play. Like that was the context of what she was saying. But the not so gentle lady from South Carolina took offense to it, and she started to interject while Rep. Jasmine Crockett was talking, and she said, and I quote, "I'm not a child. You're not going to talk to me like I'm a child. And if you want to, we can take it outside." That's what the not so gentle lady from South Carolina said. And anytime folk try to tell you race doesn't matter in conversations or in policies or in laws or in just everyday way of life, imagine if the roles were reversed and Representative Jasmine Crockett said to the Congresswoman, we could take it outside. The media would be in an uproar, a whole tizzy, because they would have said that it was a threat, because it is. It's a threat. Those are fighting words. Take it outside. Those are fighting words. It says the argument between the two representatives started as the House voted to ban transgender athletes from women's sports at federally funded institutions. The GOP has long made targeting transgender inclusion a key campaign issue. In November, Mace had introduced a bill seeking to bar transgender female members and staff from using women's restrooms at the Capitol. While many polls show acceptance of LGBTQ plus rights has generally increased over the past 20 years, most Americans are less supportive of transgender girls and women participating in women's sports. A Gallup poll from May 2023 found that 69% of Americans believe transgender people should play on teams that match their sex assigned at birth. So here's what you should know. During the House Oversight and Accountability Committee meeting on Tuesday, Mace asked Crockett if she wanted to take it outside. Mace had objected to Crockett referring to her as a child. Now, in this article, they have the word child written child because they too don't understand the context of how she used it. Responding, if you want to take it outside, we can do that. Crockett had criticized Mace's rhetoric about transgender people, including claims that transgender women use female locker rooms and bathrooms to sexually assault women. The two lawmakers have since continued their exchange on social media. In a post on Twitter Tuesday evening, Crockett, who is black, called Mace, who is white, a Karen, a slang term used to describe entitled white women who yell at service workers or engage in offensive or even racist behavior, such as calling police on black people without cause. Crockett referenced an injury Mace says she sustained when physically accosted by a pro-trans man who shook her hand at the Capitol in December. And if y'all can't remember, when this handshake happened, Nancy Mace started wearing an arm sling as if her arm had been injured during the handshake. We all know that was theatrics, but I digress. James McIntyre of Illinois has pleaded not guilty to an assault charge following his arrest. Mace was later seen wearing a sling on her arm. In response, Mace, who was raped at age 16, said she was attacked by a grown man who outweighed me and accused Crockett of being a member of Congress who does not want to protect women and girls. In another post, Mace denied wanting to fight Crockett during the Oversight Committee, saying that she wanted to take the conversation to the floor. Now you see how folk who don't necessarily belong in the minority of anything can change the tone and context of the words that they say. Because if you want to take it outside, we can do that. It's not equivalent to we could take the conversation off the floor. That is not what you said, ma'am. But now, being interviewed, they're allowing her to backpedal on the threat that she made. That was a threat. She said, if you want to take it outside, we can do that. And I'm just sitting here in awe of how we allow folk to spin narratives, and then when they overspeak, we allow them to just pretend as if what they said they didn't actually say, and what they meant they didn't actually mean. Because I know if Representative Jasmine Crockett had said it, they wouldn't allow her to just walk this back with the with and lie and walk it back, because we know you did not mean take the conversation off the floor. You said if you want to take it outside, we could do that. And the fact that you don't understand the gist in which she used the word child is not her responsibility, because she didn't call you a child. Even the tone in which she said it told you that she wasn't calling you a child. The context clues in the conversation would have told you she didn't call you a child. But you are full of theatrics, ma'am. Full of theatrics. Full of them. Everything, we are a circus right now in terms of government. This is a circus, a full-blown circus. Because you can have your political views, you can say what you think needs to be said to stand your ground in terms of your stance. But when your colleague is speaking on the actual issue and she used, AAVE that is attributed to Black folk when we speak to each other, and when we're like appalled by something, or when we're like, I say child please all the time, because I'm like, girl, what? You know what I mean? But if you don't understand it, it's not her responsibility to make certain that you know that she's not calling you an infant. But for you to respond to that and say, I am not a child, and if you want to take it outside, we can do that. Because I'm sitting here saying, even if she did mean child as an infant, adolescent, little human being, how do you then jump skip to taking it outside? I don't know if that was enough for me to say let's go get it in outside. That's insane. And then the speaker, whomever was in charge of the oversight committee, he couldn't even get order, because Representative Jasmine Crockett started to say reclaiming my time. Somebody had to tell him, like, it's out of order in here, like we need order. That is because that's the slight way to say that they approve of this bad behavior. Because if it was the other way around, you wouldn't have had a problem banging that gavel and getting some order up in the room. We have to stop acting like we can't see what's happening. This is insane. And to make a threat on the floor and nobody calls it out, nobody censures it, nobody does anything to say that this is inappropriate, it's beyond me. It's beyond me. I'm going to also tell you what Jasmine said on her social media. Representative Jasmine Crockett said on social media, "This is the same Karen who threatened violence against me today. Ma'am, did you forget you claimed that a child about broke your arm during a handshake? Child, please. The last place you wanted to catch me was outside." She my kind of people. She is my kind of people, and I like it. I'm here for it. Because you're not going to openly threaten me and think that I'm going to back down about it. I was listening to the Breakfast Club on the way here, and Charlamagne the God, who happens to be from South Carolina, so we don't have to tell you who he was trying to side with in this situation in terms of being funny about what Nancy Mace can do, because he says she's former military, and and he doesn't know much about Representative Jasmine Crockett, but he does know that Nancy Mace is from South Carolina, and he knows, he thinks she could squabble, is the word he used, a little bit. One of the co-hosts, I believe it was DJ Envy, says, one of the callers said, well, Representative Jasmine Crockett is from Houston, so don't sleep on her. Now, we don't mean sleep as in actually get in a bed and close your eyes and start snoring, people. For all of the people who don't understand how we communicate with each other, sleep on her mean don't count her out. And so I don't think for one second that Representative Jasmine Crockett was worrying about going outside, in a back room, in a corner, on the floor with Representative Nancy Mace. I don't think that, Congresswoman Nancy Mace, I don't think that she was worried about that. What I do know is she was trying to show a little bit more decorum than what was shown to her. And it's very crazy how we're expected to be so professional and so above board and so meek and mild and in line when people are threatening us, openly threatening us. Because I don't know about you, but I know that when somebody asks you to take it outside, they're not going out there to kumbaya. They're not going out there to shake hands and hug. So for me, I'm waiting to see what that side of the aisle is going to say in terms of that reprehensible behavior. Because the clip that I saw, even after being full on threatened, Representative Jasmine Crockett didn't go as low as she did. All she said was reclaiming my time. But then when she took to her social media, she gave her actual commentary because I believe she thought that that was the more appropriate place to handle the idiocy that is Congresswoman Nancy Mace. She is full of theatrics. She went to Congress to do just what she's doing, to be racist, right? To have that full-on MAGA experience. I just think it's insane that this is happening in the government. But what say you, though? We'll continue to talk about these topics and a whole lot more on the other side of the break. This is WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about all day long.
On last week's From the Press Box to Press Row with Donald Ware.
For the Commanders, when we talk about great receivers in the National Football League, we rarely talk about Terry McLaurin. 5 straight years of 1,000 yards receiving, and even in his first season, he had like 920 yards receiving. So this is a guy that, since he's come into the National Football League, that has also gotten it done. But really, the key to the Commanders this year has really been Jayden Daniels and some of the things that he's been able to do, why this team is in the position that it's in.
From the Press Box to Press Row is one of the hottest sports talk shows in the country. Join Donald each week as he takes you on a journey through the world of HBCU sports and pro sports and interviews with top sports and entertainment figures. That's From the Press Box to Press Row.
Fridays at 6 p.m. on WBOK 1230 AM. What New Orleans is talking about.
Good morning and happy Wednesday. I'm Morgan Lentis with WDSU News, and here's a look at today's headlines. Happening now, crews are clearing out homeless encampments near downtown and specifically the Superdome. It's all in an effort ahead of Super Bowl 59. Governor Jeff Landry has said the state needs to secure sensitive areas ahead of big events like the Super Bowl and Mardi Gras. We're told the unhoused will be moved to a temporary housing facility in Gentilly. Exact details on a long-term plan have not been released yet. Then the FBI releasing new information about the Bourbon Street terror attack, saying a total of 136 victims have been identified. The impacts range from those 14 fatalities to damage at 2 businesses. We have also learned the suspect became a devout Muslim in 2022, and investigators say he was radicalized 2 years later in the spring of 2024. It's unclear what radicalized him, but the FBI says he did isolate himself from society. And today, the state of Louisiana honors Nicole Perez, one of the 14 killed in the New Year's Day terror attack. Perez was 27 years old and the mother of a 4-year-old son. She lived in Metairie and was just promoted to manager at Kimmy's Deli. Her co-workers say she was diligent and a hard worker. Perez was laid to rest on Saturday. And that's a look at today's headlines. I'm Morgan Lentis with WDSU News. Have a great day.
NOLA Public Schools' main round enrollment for kindergarten through 12th grade is now open. With 73 schools available through the NOLA Public Schools Common Application Process, or NCAP, finding the right school fit for your family is easier than ever. List up to 12 choices to maximize your chances and apply by January 24th. We're all in, and we hope you are too. Apply today at enrollnolaps.com. That's enrollnolaps.com.
Hi, I'm Dr. Tony Flowers, Chief Diversity and Social Responsibility Officer at LCMC Health, and I want to bring you 5 tips to know for a great medical appointment. Number 1, know your questions. Make a short list of your most important questions and bring that with you to your appointment. Number 2, know what's being said. Ask your provider to speak in plain language, not those big long terms. Number 3, know the wellness plan. Ask your provider to to explain the plan for your care in 3 simple steps. Number 4, know why the plan is important. Ask your provider to explain what will happen if you forget to follow the plan. And number 5, know your medications. Ask these questions to understand your medication. Why am I taking this? How will it help my condition? What time should I take it? What will happen if I miss a dose? We want you to build a great partnership with your providers and be in the know about your health. This is brought to you through a partnership of LCMC Health and the New Orleans Health Department. Be in the know.
Saints of God, it's time for us to tell you the truth. It's time for you to start your 21-day challenge. Don't take another day. Do it right now. Call 504-701-4711. That's the Whole Water Store, Pastor David Impartian Sr., the host of Change Your Water, Change Your Mind. This is the water that's designed to change your body, the way you think, the way you act, and the way you look. Why don't you start your 21-day challenge today? For $35, you can start it right now. Call me so we can set up your appointment. 504-701-4711. That's 504-701-4711. Change your water, change your mind.
Visit DePaul's new Algiers Health Center at 2801 General de Gaulle Drive to receive primary and preventive care for both adults and children. Services also include behavioral health, imaging, and on-site pharmacy, vision, Medicaid enrollment assistance, and more. For appointments, visit DePaulCommunityHealthCenters.org or call 504-207-3060.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM.
Good morning, wake up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK 1230 AM.
We are back. Welcome back to the Good Morning Show. Happy Wednesday, everybody. I'm your host, Dr. Ashanta Wyatt, and I'm in the building with my super producer, Nyron Sanders. And before we went to break, we were talking about the spat between Representative Jasmine Crockett from Texas and Congresswoman Nancy Mace from South Carolina, where Jasmine Crockett was responding to false claims that Nancy Mace made regarding transgender females. And the argument was not about whether Representative Jasmine Crockett believes that transgender women should compete in women's sports. What she was responding to was the false claim made by Congressman Nancy Mace that these transgender women were going into women facilities to commit crimes such as rape. That is what she was responding to. So I just wanted to clarify that because I know a lot of folk have their feelings about transgender women being involved in women sports or being in spaces where women have to compete for things. And so to be clear, she was pushing back on the false rhetoric about transgender women going into spaces to commit crimes against women. Just wanted to clarify that. But the comment that was made by Congressman Nancy Mace after Representative Jasmine Crockett was speaking, and she used the word child as in child, please, not calling her a literal child. The Congresswoman then jumped in on the rep's time and started to say, I'm not a child. You're not going to talk to me like a child. And if you want to, we can take it outside. Right? And so any melanated person that hears that is going to tell you that's a threat. And so that's why I said if the roles were reversed and the Representative Jasmine Crockett said those words to Congressman Nancy Mace, I don't think, I'm almost certain that the coverage of this would look different because they know it's a threat. You and I know it's a threat, but it was allowed to be said. Nobody censured her. Nobody held her accountable for it. And they even tried to allow her to walk it back by saying she meant, let's take the conversation off the floor. It wasn't a conversation. It was commentary being done by Representative Jasmine Crockett during her time to speak. You had no business interjecting. You tried to make it a conversation. She was speaking, and all you had to do was be respectful enough to listen, but that didn't happen. It didn't go that way. So there you have that on that. And I just feel like our government right now on all fronts It feels very, very comical right now. It feels like a Saturday Night Live skit. Because I could tell you right now, Saturday Night Live is going to have a field day with what is going on in our government right now. The jokes will literally write themselves. And so you go from two folk on the floor, on the committee floor, talking about one telling the other one to take it outside. And then you have this confirmation hearing for Pete Hegseth that I can only... It's a mockery. Like I just don't understand. He's not answering any questions. He's literally reciting the same commentary every time a question is asked. He's telling folk it's not real, it's fake, and the people who are questioning him are like, no, we have video, we have your comments and articles, you have a book. Like, I'm reading your words. How can you say that it's fake? But when you have a commander-in-chief who has made it very, very normalized to just call things that he doesn't like fake news, this is what we get. So the article talks about the 5 big moments from Pete Hegseth's Senate confirmation hearing. And if you're not following it, a large bulk of the pushback on him is his commentary about women serving in the military. And he's made some very audacious claims about women. And he said things such as they should not serve in combat roles, that they have made fighting more complicated, and that they can't physically meet the same standards as men. And when he was asked to elaborate on these things or to talk about these things, he started to talk about something completely different. And it was I don't even understand how he could be confirmed if he's not fully participating in the confirmation process. He's not answering anything. I've not learned anything other than the claims that have been made against him that are substantiated by his book, by interviews he's done. He's been on a podcast saying these things. It says, on one hand, you say that women are not competent and that they make our military less effective. And on the other hand, now that you've been nominated, you say, I've changed my view on women in the military. The person questioning him says, I appreciate your 11th hour conversion. And I know Senator Warren had a lot to say to him about that overnight conversion to thinking that everything he said in the past now is washed away because he's been nominated to govern our entire military force, which also includes women. It says Democratic Senator Kirsten Gillibrand of New York was the next to confront him, at one point almost shouting at Hegseth. She called his statements on women, mothers, LGBTQ plus service members silly and beneath the position he is seeking. Gillibrand took particular issue with Hegseth's professed interest in keeping the military free of politics, said his statements about banning women from certain duties directly contradict that goal. You said in your statement you don't want politics. Everything you said in these public statements is politics, she said. She then hit at his statements about mothers serving in the military, asking, what's wrong with a mom, by the way? Once you have babies, you're no longer able to be lethal? ? Democratic Senator Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts later pressed him on his backsliding, calling one recent departure from a past statement a very, very big about face in a very, very short period of time. She asked him about what led to his change of heart, suggesting he reconsidered his public comments about being nominated. I've heard of deathbed conversions, but this is the first time I've heard of a nomination conversion, Warren quiped. She added that as a result of this contradictory statements, many women in the military might be worried that he could change again if confirmed. And that is a real fear, because we know that folks say things because it's the right thing to say in that moment. But should he be confirmed and he's in the position, is he then going to carry out what he actually feels or actually believes? This is a conversation here. And if you want to join it, it's 504-582-9422. And so, like, we have to be very, very vigilant when it comes to who we put in charge of these sensitive, very important, very crucial, critical positions. He's going to govern the entire military. And even his record in the military is not one that I would assume qualifies him for such a role. But again, we also have chief justices that never try cases, and they're sitting on the highest court in the land in this new America that we have going on here. It's very telling that folks want to talk about merit until it's actually time to show us their merit. They're rolling back diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives as if folk who are in marginalized communities only get roles because of DEI. When most of the time, the people spewing this rhetoric aren't even qualified to be speaking to us in such a way themselves. You want to talk about merit until it's time to talk about your resume. And not the resume your daddy and your granddaddy money helped you get. The work you've actually done. That we could actually go and see. That you've been evaluated to do. Not the endowment that your family name is on. It's weird to me that they love to talk merit in their merit list. You have no merit to even push merit on us. Merit. He's literally in a process of being confirmed to control the entire military, and his military service is not even on par with the guys who are his predecessors. You've always had to have some real experience to be in that position. He's been accused of violence against women. He doesn't think women are equivalent to men in terms of service in the military. He don't even think they're useful. But he's about to be confirmed. This is insane. Listen, we're going to jump in conversation with Dante King. He's a human resources management consultant, and we're going to talk about the removal of diversity, equity, inclusion. Good morning, Dante. Welcome to the Good Morning Show.
Good morning. Thanks so much for having me back.
How you doing?
I'm doing well. I was hearing your last points about the Hegseth confirmation hearing, and I share the same sentiments. I just wanted to say that.
Listen, I'm going to talk to you about it because we do know that a lot of what you and I are going to talk about factors into a lot of what is happening in the government. And most of these big billion-dollar businesses and corporations are rolling back diversity, equity, and inclusion, not because they want to, in my opinion, right? Not because they want to, but they understand that the president-elect, this is the trajectory he wants to go. And if they want to stay in his good graces, and if they want to make certain that they're on his good side, I think that's why a lot of them are doing it. Because for McDonald's to be removing DEI, what's that about, Dante?
Well, I think it's a bit deeper, too.
Yeah.
I agree with every point that you made. I also think that when you have a president-elect who was previously, he occupied that office before. He appointed 4 of the chief justices that are there currently on the Supreme Court, and they have overturned affirmative action.
Yes.
They overturned that ruling or the program pertaining to universities. And I think what that did is it did 2 things. I think there was that ruling, but then there was also the ruling on the Black women-owned venture capitalist firm, where they, I think, came to some type of agreement that the firm would discontinue, but that they would also maybe pay I think it was America's First Legal, but I think it was the guy, that rich white guy, his name is escaping me now, but he was responsible for the affirmative action ruling being the overturn of affirmative action as well. My point is this. My point is that the legal landscape right now sets it up whereby companies are scared to continue with these programs because they understand that there is not only a political risk involved, but there are potential grave financial consequences or risks involved as well. I agree with you. I don't think that these companies would be rolling back or wanting to scale back on these programs for a number of reasons. I think many times people are coming from a good place, a moral place, with wanting to expand their representation within their organizations, not only is it good for the reputation of the company, but it's also good, as we can see from the statistics, that companies that are ethnically and culturally diverse are 36% more profitable than companies that are not. And so we're talking about the DEI in the sense of it having a direct impact to the bottom line. And so if we see that companies with more diverse thought, more innovative thoughts and creativity are likely to prosper, likely to be more successful, likely to generate more productivity, then why wouldn't we want more representation of people from diverse backgrounds? But this is where racism meets capitalism. And I think we heard recently, too, I just want to bring in this point, where you even have people on the Republican side, people such as Elon Musk, people such as Vivek Ramaswamy, who recently commented on the white mediocrity that pervades our society, and that we don't have the type of people here in this country. So we actually need to go out around the world and pursue people from more globally advanced or technologically advanced societies.
Listen, I am with you, and we're going to jump into conversations about this. We have a caller online, too. Good morning. Welcome to the Good Morning Show. I think I might have lost Dante. Can you get him back for me? Good morning, DW.
Good morning. I have on the previous comment about Mr. Headspec.
Yes.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay. I am reminded of our future president-elect who had called the members of the military losers and suckers. If you remember that,
yes, I do.
Some time ago. Okay. And now you have a nominee who obviously is not qualified, at least in my opinion. Now, I am not the last word of it all, but I am reminded of the previous Secretary of Defense, General Lloyd Austin, who was a four-star general. And it seems to me to make the rank of general, you had to be confirmed by the United States Senate. So to be a four-star general, you had to be confirmed every time you were moved up from a brigadier general, major general, lieutenant general. And see, to be a four-star general, you had to be running a major command. And I'm just looking at this. When you can run a major command overseeing billions of dollars in terms of equipment, personnel, management, budgets, and things like that, that says a lot, at least to me.
No, all of us. I agree with you, DW, and that's why we're having this conversation, because I don't understand how they can so easily talk about merit, and then there's no merit to show for even putting him up for confirmation. He shouldn't even be in consideration for such a role. Like, if you want to put him in your cabinet somewhere, you want to have him work somewhere in the White House, then you do you. But to put him in charge of such a huge role, and he doesn't have the credentials or the resume that says what his predecessors have said and done in that role, it tells you that this is not about merit. This is not really about experience. This is just about giving your friends or giving people who agree with you, who tap dance to the music that you play, giving them big roles in government. That's what it looks like to me. So I agree with you. I'm just shocked in that this has even gotten this far, that he's even in real contention to be confirmed. Right? For such a role.
Right.
Yeah.
And then too, if you are to represent the president with other foreign officials, How can you actually represent a man that can call your serving military folks losers and suckers?
Yeah,
That would not agree with me as a rank and file member of the military.
and think about the folk who would have to salute him, and knowing the things he said about them, because it's almost treasonous to not to do your job just because you don't like who's in charge, of it or whatever. But I
Right.
just doesn't think it does anything for morale. I don't think it does anything for buy-in from the people who are boots on the ground, risking their lives on behalf of this country, to have somebody in charge of them that speaks about them in that way, especially the women. How do you respond to somebody who
Yes.
thinks that little of you? You know what I mean? And so this is a conversation worth having, and we're going to continue to dive into it with Dante. But thank you for your call, DW. We appreciate you here at WBOK.
Okay, thank
Have
you.
a great one. Hey, Dante, you back with us? I lost you for a
Yes.
second, and I apologize for
am.
that. Were you able to hear the commentary from the last caller?
Yeah, I was able to hear it. I absolutely agree. And I want to say, though, this country at its founding was founded by people who created their own government, created their own institutions, who went to war and literally killed people. So we're not talking about people who were necessarily qualified to run a country. We're not talking about people who ascended to power due to merit. They ascended to power due to weaponization, due to warfare. And so we are continuing, and we see the same pervasiveness of white inadequacy and white mediocrity, and that has nothing to do with merit. And all of our institutions have functioned in this manner, and they continue to function in this manner. I think what I'm most concerned about in this environment are these very delusional, untrue narratives that we feed our black babies, that if you work hard, you can ascend to some degree of influence, or you can achieve, your dreams and what you want to achieve. And I think what we are seeing in real time is really the unreality of that, because our black babies, just such as yourself, such as myself, we worked hard. We did what our parents and grandparents told us that we should do in order to achieve, whichever goals we wanted to achieve. And yet, if we were white, we would be so much further along in our journey because of opportunities that would have been just handed to us, doors that would have been open, ways that would have been made for us. And I don't think that we consider that. And so we have a lot of our black babies right now that are struggling to function, that are struggling with depression, that are sometimes struggle with even suicide ideation, because they're working really, really hard, and they're not seeing the same types of red carpets be rolled out for them, or the same types of opportunities to prevail. So I want to take a step back too to talk about it. Maybe think about the effects, the indirect effects and impacts to our community, to our young adults, to young black adults, but to also our young babies that we're, trying to inspire by telling them that, hey, you got to go to school, get an education. If you work hard, if you do this, do that. And this society just does not function like in that manner. It does not function in a way or in a state of fairness or based on merit. And it's never been about merit when it comes to white people. These institutions function on processes and a value system that is predicated upon white affirmative action and white sponsorship, where people participate in both nepotism and cronyism.
I'm gonna make you. I think I might jolt you with the next thing that I'm going to say about this confirmation hearing. Do you know, Dante, that they're allowing him to pledge that he's not going to drink if he's confirmed, because there are reports that he showed up regularly drunk to Fox News because he's a news anchor. Keep that in your brain. He's a news anchor that showed up drunk to work often. And so he's pledging to not drink should he be confirmed. And we're going to have somebody that is openly struggling with alcoholism as our Secretary of Defense. A Republican senator out of Oklahoma came to his defense and said, how many senators have shown up drunk to vote?
That's right.
How many senators have gotten divorced for cheating? So they figure out a way to still whitewash their inadequacies. Listen, Showing up drunk to Fox News is vastly different than showing up drunk to go to work as the Secretary of Defense. Listen.
That's right.
I really can't. You cannot make this up. Listen. If you don't watch Saturday Night Live, Dante, you better start watching it because it's about to get gooder and gooder. Yes, I said that.
Right.
Big ER, right?
Well, yes, for sure. And I want to say this. So I have a book that's coming out. My next book is called Diagnosing Whiteness and Anti-Blackness: White Psychopathology, Collective Psychosis, and Trauma in America. It'll be out February 3rd. You can get it on Amazon. I want to say this. In my book, I talk about the ways that white people perpetually absolve each other through the court system, through whichever process, such as this is a political process. They absolve each other of their sins, their transgressions, offenses, things that we will be held accountable to and held accountable for, things that we hold ourselves accountable for because we follow a moral system. We follow a system of ethics and ethical principles that tell us or have reinforced for us that that's inappropriate, that that's unacceptable behavior. And yet these are standards that we abide by, that we hold ourselves accountable for, and that we hold each other accountable for. And yet we see in real time again people willing to absolve this man, not just of his alcoholic addiction and his behavior that has been the result of his alcoholic addiction, but this man engaged, and there are reports out that he engaged in potentially sexually assaulting, raping a woman at a hotel while he was under the influence of alcohol. And so don't tell me about Christianity and forgiveness and Christian nationalism, because all of these values, this value system that we abide by, it does not apply to the absolution, the forgiveness of certain offenses. That does not apply to non-white people. It only applies to white people. And so in my book, I talk about the way that we need to, one, that we're suffering from menticide, which is what Dr. Bobby Wright talked about in his work around the psychopathic racial personality. And he said that black people are pathological for thinking that we can appeal to these people's moral senses in any way because they've been programmed to be psychopathic towards black people. So that's number one. But number two, I talk about the ways that we as black people need to be taking a page out of these people's books and stop holding ourselves and each other to these very high standards where we have criticisms about what other black people are doing as far as their behavior goes, because we are seeing in real time that there are no standards. There are no moral standards that white people have to comply with, that they have to abide by, and they are not even willing to hold themselves accountable to these standards. So I'm more concerned about the indirect effects and impacts that this is having to black people, because we are around here killing ourselves,
literally
trying to hold ourselves to standards that these people do not have to abide by. And I believe it has long-term effects on our nervous systems.
Absolutely, it does. And listen, I want to make a very distinct clarification, because if you don't know by now, Dante, the WBOK listening audience, they're brilliant, right? So they'll check you real quick. I want to make this clarification. Hegseth made a promise to state Republicans that he would not drink if he were confirmed. But when he was pressed by the Democrats, he refused to commit to the promise that he made to the Senate Republicans that he would not drink. So he made the promise to the Senate Republicans, but when they asked him in the confirmation hearing openly and they pressed him on his promise to the Senate Republicans, he could not agree, or he could not confirm that he would not drink. But why is this even a concession being made for him? If he has a problem with alcoholism, he needs rehab. He doesn't need to be confirmed, in my opinion, right? But
I agree.
We have some callers, Dante, and I told you the last time I talked to you, I really wish you could come in studio, because you and I, we could do this thing. We need to have some.
I'll make a trip.
Yes, please do. I want you in studio, because you came here to talk about DEI, but there's a whole bunch. You could run the gambit on things about race in this country and how it affects our government and the things we're talking about right now in terms of how we have to show up in the world to even be in a room with folk who have not done a modicum of the things that we're forced to have to do to just get into certain rooms. I don't even think that you and I could sit in a confirmation hearing to be the Secretary of Defense with our resume, and his resume don't even touch ours, and we can't even get in a room to be confirmed. Something is wrong with that.
Right.
But let's hear what the callers of WBOK have to say. Good morning, Miss Denise. Welcome to the Good Morning Show.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
I'm great, and you?
I'm fine. I'm fine. Should I say happy risings to everyone? Good morning. I'm listening. And the gentleman that's speaking, what's his name?
Dante King. The Dante King.
The Dante King.
Uh-huh.
Thank you. Thank you so very much
You're
for
welcome.
being there this morning and being this platform that we need to express exactly what you're talking about. And when I speak and I have so much to say, it sounds like gibberish. You want to get it out. You want to say it so fast. You hit on so many topics this morning. I woke up this morning. I've been waking up like this every morning for a while now, like a nervous system. I'm full of anxiety. And it is because of the trauma and everything that's going on in this city. And not just today. I'm 58 years old. And it's been going on since I've been here. That's a long time. Wow. I had a conversation with my grandson on yesterday, and he told me he went to the doctor, and the doctor said blah, 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 and this and this and that. And he said, yeah, it's something like that. It makes the organs fight against itself. I said, what? He said, yeah. Now, my grandson is 9 years old. Why is he feeling what I have been feeling for like 30 years in my body? This is not right. You made a comment about the men and why they feel like they feel, white men, about us women. It's because they have a problem with their mothers, their parents, because they are not like us. They're not. And because of that, I feel like you say don't point the fingers. I do point the fingers. I point the finger. You point the finger at everything else that every Black City official, teacher, librarian, everyone, when they're doing wrong, you blast their faces all over the television. I've been asking the chief of police about the man who hit and killed the young child going to school out here in Chalmette. Why are their faces not on the televisions? Because they're still in our communities doing what they're doing. And once their faces is out, well, then we'll see and we'll know. You know what we're realizing? We don't know these people. I ride the bus. I don't know the conversations that's going on because I don't speak the language. I have people brushing up on me who smell like offensive odor, and it's offensive, and they know it's offensive. We need to wake up. We just saying, ooh, something stinks. Ooh, that smell. We need to wake up. It's affecting our system. I get on the bus and sometimes I want to throw up. It makes me sick. RTA is aware of this. They say if you see something, say something. They don't want me to say anything because I've been reaching out to them, the news media, every entity that they say reach out to. We're there. We're fighting for you. That's a lie. It's a lie. I'm sick of it. I'm thinking now, should I leave to go to the doctor because I don't feel well? But you know what? I don't trust the doctors. I don't trust this leadership. I've said a lot. I want to go and listen to what anybody else has to say, or if they're feeling, and I know they're feeling this way.
Well, listen, Ms. Denise, I appreciate you calling in. I promise you, I'm going to forward your complaint to the CEO of RTA today when I get off air. I'll let her know to listen into the show and hear what you have to say, and then maybe she could offer some sort of recourse for you. So I'll do that for you. But I want you to hang up and listen while we catch the next caller. But I do appreciate you, Ms. Denise.
For sure. Thank you.
Have a good one. Ms. Jones, welcome to the Good Morning Show.
Thank you. Good morning to you and all the listening audience. I want to go back on what a couple of callers said, and I'm going to say this. Remember what Donald Trump said, the enemy is within?
Yes.
And he's showing it every way. And the caller who said that military people were losers and suckers, he's speaking over their grave, buried, sometimes maybe nothing in that coffin. And the destruction And you know, they had if you remember when COVID came, they mentioned something. I don't know if it was the truth, about 1,000 men. I don't know if it was Navy or were on a ship, and it was affected with COVID. Never heard any more. It took 2 weeks before they rolled in maybe another ship to take those people off. Do you remember that? Unless it was a lie reported.
No, I don't, but I can look into it and find. You know, I like to know stuff, so I can look it up for you, but I'm not aware. Dante, are you aware?
No.
No.
I remember something like that. It wasn't much that was said. And I said, why would they get those people off right away? This was the earlier part of COVID, maybe like the mid part of 2020, because it was March the 4th when it really came, of 2020, when all the information started spilling out a lot. So anyhow, when he said the enemy is within, he's right. He's assigning all these misfitted people to assignments. We've been sold over to the enemy. Mm-hmm. And I'm constantly saying that he said years ago, you're going to destroy within. And
listen, Ms. Jones, you know we appreciate you at WBOK. Dante, they call her the first lady at WBOK, but we have to go to break. I want you to still listen in, though, Ms. Jones. Please do that for me and have a blessed rest of your morning. Listen, Dante, we have to go to break, but will you promise to stay with us on the other side of the break?
For sure.
Listen, we're going to continue our conversations with Dante King. Teresa, I see you holding on. Stay on the phone for me. Stay with us right here, WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about all day long.
This is your news update for WBOK 1230 AM from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
We'll see a couple of spotty showers early, then mostly cloudy. Highs rise to the mid to upper 50s with a light breeze. There's another chance for spotty showers this evening, then dry. Lows will stay above the freezing mark tonight, 30s and the 40s. More sunshine for Thursday, highs in the 50s and the 60s. Next best chance for rain Friday into Saturday, then a blast of cold air next week. From the WDSU First Warning Weather Center, I'm Raven Richard.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues? Who are you? Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Welcome to Chemical of the Month, a service of the community scientist and Rise St. James. This month, we're focusing on lead, a heavy metal that's dense, soft, and poses serious health risks. In Cancer Alley, lead exposure from industrial emissions or contaminated soil can significantly increase cancer risks and other health problems. Stay informed and protect your health. For more information, visit risestjames.org.
WBOK and LCMC Health are proud to present Keeping You Well Cafe, 60 Minutes with LCMC Health, where the doctors speak directly to the people of New Orleans. LCMC Health is committed to improving the quality of care here in New Orleans, the Gulf South, and beyond. The Keeping You Well Cafe is another way for LCMC Health to engage with the community. At the Keeping You Well Cafe, LCMC Health joins WBOK and local businesses to answer your questions about wellness and health.
The New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation is the nonprofit organization that owns the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival, presented by Shell. With the funds generated from Jazz Fest, the foundation invests in Louisiana communities through economic development, cultural enrichment, and free educational programs. To learn more about the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation, please visit us at www.jazzandheritage.org.
Hey, Mom, I've been meaning to talk to you about some new COVID information I saw online. I read that 3 out of 4 adults in the United States have a high risk factor for severe COVID-19. And Black folks like us with certain conditions like diabetes, heart disease, mental health conditions, or being 50 and older are at high risk.
Boy, you sound like a commercial.
I'm just saying. I know you love your ginger teas and essential oils, but remember, there are treatment options for COVID-19.
I promise if I get sick again, I'll call my doctor to ask about my options.
WBOK 1230 AM New Orleans. Home of the Good Morning Show, 7 to 9 a.m. weekdays.
This news report is brought to you by New Schools for New Orleans.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 Things You Should Know from BIN News. President Biden is preparing to deliver his farewell address to the nation in prime time tonight, just days before he leaves the White House. Biden will speak from the Oval Office at 8 p.m. Eastern. A Falcon 9 rocket launched from Kennedy Space Center carrying Firefly Aerospace's Blue Ghost lunar lander and a Japanese moon rover. The Blue Ghost is expected to land on the moon in early March after a 45-day trip. The FBI is investigating a collision between a Super Scooper firefighting plane and an unauthorized drone at the Palisades fire. The plane was repaired and is back in service. The FBI has set up a tip line to identify the drone operator. And the Governor's Ball Music Festival lineup includes headliners Olivia Rodrigo and Tyler, the Creator. Other acts include T-Pain and Tyla. The festival runs from June 6th to the 8th with passes on sale Thursday. I'm Bree Wood on the Black Information Network, your home for Black News First.
New Schools for New Orleans wants to send a special shout out to our partner, the All-State Sugar Bowl. During the holiday break, over 30 teachers have the opportunity to ride in the New Year's Eve parade, and boy, did they have a blast. In addition, we had over 60 teachers attend the All-State Sugar Bowl game. Out of the 60, 11 teachers received a $1,000 gift card to purchase needed supplies to enhance the learning experiences for their students. Thank you, All-State Sugar Bowl, for your commitment to NOLA's teachers.
Trying to grow your business or increase traffic to your location? We can help. WBOK 1230 AM has a number of solutions that will meet your individual needs. Give one of our consultants a call today at 504-582-9420 or email us at info@wbok1230.com. And remember, an investment with WBOK is an investment in our community. Call today.
Good morning and happy Wednesday. I'm Morgan Lentis with WDSU News, and here's a look at today's headlines. Happening now, crews are clearing out homeless encampments near downtown and specifically the Superdome. It's all in an effort ahead of Super Bowl 59. Governor Jeff Landry has said the state needs to secure sensitive areas ahead of big events like the Super Bowl and Mardi Gras. We're told the unhoused will be moved to a temporary housing facility in Gentilly. Exact details on a long-term plan have not been released yet. Then the FBI releasing new information about the Bourbon Street terror attack, saying a total of 136 victims have been identified. The impacts range from those 14 fatalities to damage at 2 businesses. We have also learned the suspect became a devout Muslim in 2022, and investigators say he was radicalized 2 years later in the spring of 2024. It's unclear what radicalized him, but the FBI says he did isolate himself from society. And today, the state of Louisiana honors Nicole Perez, one of the 14 killed in the New Year's Day terror attack. Perez was 27 years old and the mother of a 4-year-old son. She lived in Metairie and was just promoted to manager at Kimmy's Deli. Her coworkers say she was diligent and a hard worker. Perez was laid to rest on Saturday. And that's a look at today's headlines. I'm Morgan Lentis with WDSU News. Have a great day.
WBOK 1230 AM New Orleans. Home of the Good Morning Show, 7 to 9 a.m. weekdays.
Welcome back to the Good Morning Show. I am your host, Dr. Ashanta Wyatt. My super producer, Nyron Sanders, is in studio with me as well. Listen, if you are just joining us, we have been engrossed in conversation around what is happening in our government surrounding our diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives being rolled back in different ways. But we've been in conversation with Dante King. He is more than an HR expert. He's also an author and consultant, and he is a brilliant mind. And somebody I would love to come into the studio so we can talk about a various amount of topics because, you know, great minds think alike. But Dante, on the phone right now with us, we have Treese. Good morning. Welcome to the Good Morning Show.
Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Key. Is it Mr. Keen or Dr. Key? I want to.
Good morning. You can just call me Dante.
That's when you know you're the man already. Just call him Dante.
Listen, I appreciate what you said, and I just don't want us to jump over one of the most important things I think I heard you say this morning was about the psychosis of the white men and white people and how they don't hold themselves to any of the standards that they seem to impose on black people. However, black people will continuously tell themselves things like, we don't hold ourselves accountable, or we're not accountable to this. You know, I would say when things happen, we're like, well, black people don't hold us, and we are the most held accountable. We are the biggest rule followers because, in fact, that is what keeps us safe, following the rules. You know, so I just want us to talk about the gaslighting effect of that,
Absolutely.
of how that comes across, because it always, in every situation, have us discussing things that we already know aren't real, as if it's a real conversation. For instance, Doc just was talking about how are they even talking about this guy being an alcoholic, and it's a real conversation. That's the gaslighting effect of the things they do to us on a daily basis. Like, we're constantly gaslit about our real existence because of this fake standard of fake morality that is imposed on us, and we hold ourselves to that and have conversations with white people, around white people, about that topic when it's all fake for them, and we know it's fake for them, and yet you can't win that conversation.
Thank you, Umtrice. We appreciate you.
Yeah.
Have a good morning. Listen, Dante, you know, it's I think what you said that made me sit up a little straight was they perpetually absolve each other, right? And I liken it to white meat don't eat white meat, right? And that's what we have to understand. We keep trying to placate to these to white proximity. That doesn't mean that it equates to white privilege. You will never be equal or equivalent to anything going on over there, and I've said this on the air. That's one of the things I actually admire about President Trump. Like, people don't get it. I admire the fact that he said whatever he want and he stand on it, while our leaders are over here talking about we can't do this, we can't do this. The Constitution said. Them people don't care nothing about the Constitution. They care about power and privilege. That's all they care about. And they do it by any means necessary. I'm waiting on us to have a by any means necessary approach to existing in this space, because this isn't our space. We built it, but it don't belong to us, right?
I totally agree.
Because here's the other thing, right, that I want to talk to you about. The Alabama governor, Kay Ivey. So, the flags are half-staffed because of the passing of President Carter, right? Like, this is Jimmy Carter. He passed, so President Joe Biden put the flags flying at half-staff for 30 days. Right? She's decided that on Inauguration Day, she's going to raise the flag back up so she could salute her commander-in-chief. And then she's going to put it back down. My question to you is, if this was Obama being inaugurated, you think she would have done that? You think she'd have raised that flag up? Because this is also the lady that's going to have her state celebrating they're going to celebrate the Confederate general, right? So this is what I'm talking about we have to just call a thing and call it for what it is. This is racism. That's all it's about. Racism and power. That's it.
It is.
Because if you were inaugurating that black man as president, you wouldn't have raised that flag back up, talking about because it's inauguration day. And then she actually tried to put the law. She tried to put the federal law in there. It's 4 USC 86 enumerates times and occasions for display of the U.S. flag, including Inauguration Day. But if Obama was being inaugurated, you wouldn't have raised that flag to disrespect the passing of President Carter. You wouldn't have done it. But she's doing it. She's doing it. What do you think about that?
Well, I think you said something, though, and I don't want to gloss over it. I hope every listener that is listening can understand what you just said. You said the Democrats are focused on following the rules, while the Republicans are focused on making new rules and reshaping these institutions. And that is such a powerful distinction to make, because you have people who are willing, they're using a by any means necessary approach where they're willing to violate the law, they're willing to violate certain policies, they're willing to march to their own drumbeat. And we're seeing that in real time. That cannot be overlooked. I also want to highlight, too, and this is based on something that you said and one of the last callers, which is if you go to my Instagram, which is Dante D. King Official, you'll see on there that I'm running a campaign for the release of my new book and the docuseries. One of the campaigns I'm running is called a Dear Black People campaign. And if you go down my timeline, you'll see all of these posts on Dear Black People. And I actually start my book off with a letter to Black people. But some of the things that I'm saying is that you cannot earn your way out of anti-Blackness, out of facing and being faced with anti-Blackness. You cannot get enough degrees. You cannot educate yourself enough to escape facing the effects of anti-Blackness and white supremacy in this society. And I think when I think about my sister, Dr. Caretha Mitchell, when she says that we are trained to bring out really high standards when the person is not a straight white male, that's registering for me in this moment, because it's true. It's absolutely true. And the one variable, like you said, that we also have to give voice to is that many times when we are making it into those rooms and at those tables where white people are and other non-black people, we have worked 10 times as hard, we're 10 times more qualified, 15 to 20 times more qualified and prepared, capable, and these people they do not have our resume. Just like Kamala Harris, she worked in all three branches of government. She's the only presidential candidate that's ever done that, legislative, judicial, and executive, and yet they called her DEI president. These people are psychologically defunct.
Ketanji Brown, remember that, Dante? Ketanji
Yes.
Brown, like they literally put her through the ringer at her confirmation. But we have a justice right here from Metairie who has not even tried a traffic case. And nobody questioned her resume. But Ketanji Brown, they were talking about she was unqualified. Her resume ran circles around the last few justices, right? Circles
right.
around them. So that tells you that this is not about resumes, Dante. I told this to a friend of mine when he called me yesterday and we were talking about government. I said, this is not, you keep thinking this is about people. This is about doing the right thing. This is not about people. It's not about doing the right thing. This is about power and privilege. That is all it's about. That is it. And one of our WBOK listeners is asking you to list the companies who are rolling back their DEI initiatives. I have the list in front of me, but I'll give you the floor if you want to give us the names of some of them.
Well, so they're saying that McDonald's is one.
Yes.
That's the latest. I know that there's companies like Starbucks.
Walmart.
I think Walmart. Okay, yeah. So Walmart. Who else? Was Target one of them? The list is not in front of me at this point.
So let me help you out, friend. Here it is.
Okay.
Facebook, McDonald's, Nissan, the University of Michigan, right. Louisiana State University, Southwest Airlines, Target, Walmart, Caterpillar, United Airlines, Boeing, Toyota, Morgan Stanley, Western Carolina University, Ford, Lowe's, University of Kentucky, Brown-Forman Corporation, which is Jack Daniels. Isn't that ironic? Because that ain't even their liquor. Harley-Davidson, Microsoft, John Deere, CNN, Tractor Supply Company, Chipotle Mexican Grill, Lyft, UPS, Eli Lilly, Starbucks, Bank of America, Home Depot, DoorDash, Wayfair, Zoom, Google, Tesla, IBM, Comcast, Goldman Sachs, Twitter, American Airlines, Cleveland State University, Disney District, Mars, Apple, just to name a few. So that's basically every corner of the United States of America,
right.
all across this country,
right.
all across this country, right? And so where do we go? Where do we go where our humanity and our money is honored? Where do we go?
But they're rolling back these programs, too, to target Black American people. They're still going to recruit people from other countries. They're still going to ship jobs out of this country, which they call globalization, to other countries where people who are non-white will assume many of those positions. And I'm talking about companies that have established a presence in places like India, in East Asia. Many of the jobs, when those jobs reports roll out and they talk about how many jobs were produced in the economy, during any particular month, we're not talking about jobs that are just here geographically located in the United States of America. We're talking about jobs that companies have produced, and no matter where they're sitting geographically, but that belong to American companies. They affect the economy, but those jobs, some of them are not necessarily located physically here in the United States of America. So there will continue to be people assuming positions in American companies that are not here in America, physically in America, because jobs are being shipped out of this country, but also they will continue to recruit from around the world. The rollback of these DEI programs has occurred because that guy, and again, his name is escaping me, but he was responsible for the overturning the affirmative action program, that ruling by the Supreme Court in 2023. His name has escaped me. Anyway, rich white guy. He is targeting affirmative action and DEI because he specifically has a vendetta or something to prove or something against
I got it for you.
African American
I got it
people.
for you. Is it Edward Bloom?
Yes,
Mhm.
that's his name. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, and here's the thing though, Dante. And first of all, before I forget, can you spell out your social media, because some of our listeners are asking where can they find you on social media?
Oh, please. Yeah, it's I'm on Instagram. It's Dante D King Official, DanteDking Official on Instagram. I believe I'm Dante King 2020 on Twitter. And then if you on Facebook, I think I'm just Dante King Official.
So you Dante DANCE King KING Official, guys. Dante King Official on social media platforms. You should be able to find him. Our listeners were asking for your social media because I think it's important where we know where we can get real information from, because right now with Facebook and different social media platforms, not only are they rolling back DEI, but they're also eliminating the idea of fact checking now. So now they're opening the floodgates for all of this misinformation or disinformation or just outright lies to reign supreme on social media. You know, a lot of the youth, that is where they think they're finding real news on social media, which is very scary.
Can I also highlight this, though, too? And I want to put this out there. You all can go to my website, too, which is DanteKing.com. I forgot about that. It's DanteKing.com. But I also want to say this, because I'm on all of these platforms, and I have been thinking about getting off of a few of them because they block speech when it comes to Black people who are speaking the way that we're speaking. I try to put posts out all the time. I have used some of their promotional services to promote some of my posts. These people have declined my posts, have blocked me from running any new campaign. So they're right now in the midst of uplifting white voices and people that comply with or align with both their political and personal views, right? That's what these companies. So you have people who work for these companies who are behind the scenes reviewing what different people are posting, and they're blocking certain voices.
Well,
But
listen, the
they're
callers want to
allowing
talk to you, Dante. The lines are lit up for you. So let's go to the phone lines. Pop Jones, good morning. Welcome to the Good Morning Show.
Good morning, Dr. Wise and your guest, Doctor. I wanted to mention someone that probably y'all have read about in history, but I remember coming up as a kid, the great fighter, Joe Louis. You heard of him?
Yes.
Joe Louis was an uneducated Black man. He was raised by a single mom. It almost brings tears to my eyes to talk about him. Nobody could beat him. When he would win a fight, he would call his mom up and say, "Mom, I win again." And when they asked him, "Joe, what you did?" he said, lucky punch. He never had anything. When he went in the military, they used him to represent the military, all of that. And even throughout his life, he never really had that much. So I'm used to seeing my people used by the enemy. From a kid on until his time, because they know that we are strong. We're not weak. But somehow or another, look like most of us don't even realize that, how strong we are. Joe Louis proved that. I don't think he ever really got money when he left this planet. But Joe Louis was one example how strong we are. raised by a single mom. Mom, I win again. Thank you for taking my call.
Thank you, Pop. We appreciate you. T-Bone, good morning. Welcome to the Good Morning Show.
Good morning, Dr. Wyatt, Mr. Dante. How you doing?
We're good. And you?
I'm going to keep my vow not to talk politics, but I'm going to make you understand why I'm calling. This is a social issue. And I'm speaking as a black man that is overqualified for his present position and others. See, the white working class as a whole has been agitated with affirmative action, with DEI, as they want to call it, for decades. See, they've always wanted to hire somebody they were comfortable with, somebody that looks like them. When they call a customer service or they call a tech support, they're comfortable with somebody that sounds like them. This is a social thing. Donald Trump basically emboldened them to bring that kitchen table discussion that they've had for decades up front and out in the open and into the political arena. If you listen to his rhetoric, majority of it has nothing to do with political issues that will fix some of the problems of this country, of your community. Right. It's strictly about how they feel. See, when you do a job interview and you have that 5 to 10 page resume over that white candidate that has half of that, if that, they like that white candidate if they're a white interviewer over you. And they wanted to give that white candidate 9 out of 10 times the chance over you. That's what happened with Ketanji Brown. That's what happened with Kamala Harris, unfortunately, because I remember somebody said this and it really struck a chord. And when they said this, I knew she was going to lose this election, unfortunately. People had her going to the barbershop, going to this state, going to that state, asking her all the hard questions, while Trump is saying nothing but intelligible vomiters from the mouth. Holding her to the standard of president while you're just sitting up there, let him say anything, and you elect him anyway with no proof, no rhyme, no reason that he's going to fix anything that's going wrong with this country. And that's what's happening here. Socially,
so can I ask
he
you a
looks
question?
like them. They can relate to him. And that's why they don't care about the fact-checking. I used to debate with these people early on when he was running against Obama. They didn't care about any of the facts I was presenting.
T-Bone,
and I realized.
T-Bone, Dante has a question. Dante has a question for you.
Can I ask you a quick? Everything that you just named, you started off by saying, I believe that this is a social issue, but everything that you just outlined for the audience speaks to something deeper, and which is what I write about in my book. What you just described is deeper, much deeper than a social issue. It is deeply psychological. These people are programmed in ways to value themselves and value each other in ways that they devalue, that they don't value other people. And they've also been programmed and trained to devalue black people. So it doesn't matter in reality how qualified, how prepared, how capable one is.
Absolutely.
What matters and what you just described is how they feel about you. And that's what we've been battling during our whole experience here on this continent.
But it is a social construct that is embedded into their being depending on the type of upbringing that they have.
And again, you're calling it social. I agree with you, but I think it's a psychological construct. It's deeper than social.
Thank you,
Yeah,
T-Bone.
I said
T-Bone.
so.
T-Bone. We got so many people wanting to talk to Dante, and we really appreciate
Okay,
you.
but
I want you
just
to continue
put that
listening so
on
you can
y'all
get Dante's
minds, because
feedback.
guess what? If you voted for this man, that's what you voted for. Thank you.
I agree. Thank you
That's
so much.
right.
I told you the WBOK listening audience is fierce, Dante. We have another caller
They
online,
are.
too. Good morning, Reverend Calhoun. Welcome to the Good Morning Show.
Good morning to all. Let me ask you this. Do you think money have anything to do with this?
Money has
Do
everything
you
to do
put
with it.
people in place that's gonna do your bidding? You don't care about resume and all of that as long as they can lack up to you and you can give them directions. The $840 billion that the Defense Department has, they can now direct contracts to whomever they choose. When you start thinking about what Donald is doing, Donald has never had anybody around him but lackeys.
That's
if you're
right.
not gonna listen and do what he say do, he don't have no use for you. Have anybody been able to say at this point how many blacks has he actually put in his administration? Which means or goes to show he don't care nothing about what you think, what you can bring, or anything in terms of who you are. So when we look at all of these, and what I'm afraid of is that there are going to be a whole lot of folks who thought he had just a white agenda, but he actually has a have not and have agenda. And he's going to make sure that his people that lackeys or that supports him will have. And those
You
that
got it.
don't will have not. Have a good morning.
Thank you, Reverend. We appreciate you. Listen, Dante, it's hot in here, right?
That was a mic drop moment.
I'm telling you that we have some of the most critically thinking listeners and viewers, and that is why I enjoy coming to work every day, because your perspective is always pushed and expanded in ways that maybe you didn't even know you needed to look into that. Oh, that does make sense. But here, I love coming to work because we get to talk about things that maybe other places and spaces aren't talking about in the way we talk about them. And I keep telling you this, you got to come visit the studio, but we got to go to break. But after the break, we'll have more conversations with Dante King. And if you want to be in conversation with us, the number here is 504-582-9422. Stay with us on the other side of the break. WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about all day long.
NOLA Public Schools' main round enrollment for kindergarten through 12th grade is now open. With 73 schools available through the NOLA Public Schools Common Application Process, or NCAP, finding the right school fit for your family is easier than ever. List up to 12 choices to maximize your chances and apply by January 24th. We're all in, and we hope you are too. Apply today at enrollnolaps.com. That's enrollnolaps.com.
Hi, this is Cary Grant. Let's elevate every Tuesday through Thursday from 6 to 7 p.m. as we discuss the community, the country, and the world, from politics to current events and sports. We look forward to your input and continuing the quality programming on your community station, WBOK. Join us every Tuesday through Thursday, 6 to 7 p.m. on Elevated Conversations, the Arnie and Cary Show.
Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Jennifer Avegno, Health Director for the City of New Orleans. It's flu season, so now's the time to roll up your sleeves and get your flu shot. Flu cases are on the rise and affect every age. From handshakes to friendly hugs to touching infected surfaces, the flu can be transmitted to anyone, anywhere. Don't let the flu sideline you from all the fun things you love about our city. Getting your flu shot is one of the easiest things you can do to protect yourself. Be flu ready NOLA and get your flu shot today. Visit healthyheartcpp.org to learn more.
Hello, I'm Gary Clark. Please tune in to Dr. Clark 101, The Living Classroom, which is broadcasted weekly every Wednesday at 12:30 p.m. on WBOK 1230 AM on your dial. And as always, it's been a pleasure.
Tune in to The Monitor's Mic, where we talk about oversight, policing, and you. Hosted by the Office of Independent Police Monitor. We're here to shine a light on policing issues that matter, from real-time policing updates to in-depth interviews. Every Friday at noon on WBOK.
making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM. Good morning, wake up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK 1230 AM.
Welcome back to the Good Morning Show. I'm your host, Dr. Ashanta White. Super producer Naira Sanders is behind the glass holding us all together. And my guest today is Dante King. And Dante, I want to thank you first and foremost. And we all should thank him because we've just commandeered your time all morning. But I appreciate you staying with us, being in conversation with us. And we have a call on line 3. Miss Alicia, welcome to the Good Morning Show.
Good morning to your guests, and thanks for staying on all morning.
We lost Miss Alicia. Miss Alicia, call me back. I don't know how I lost you, but call me right back, Miss Alicia. Aaron, welcome to the Good Morning Show. Oh my God, we losing everybody around here. Dante wasn't locked in that time. Aaron, are you there?
Good morning. How you doing?
Good morning. How are you?
I'm all right. I just wanted to say, to me, sometimes we taking focus on so much what the enemy is doing that we take and lose focus on what we need to be doing, right? Prime example, watch how Monday come, and it's going to be so many of our so-called elected leaders going to walk through the communities, the same community, they're going to walk and march through the communities with MLK playing in the background, the same communities in which they're allowed to be gentrified. But yet, they come to our same communities and say, we need y'all to vote for me and us and them and whatever, and yet we get the same treatment while everybody else is getting they just do. And we have to be satisfied with concessions. It's two people that I know for sure, and Doc, you one of them. I'm not going to say the other person. I'm going to let them tell their story, but I like using you as an example. But it's two people that I know that was, and again, you one of them, who was bought with a not bought as in paid off, but they tried to come to y'all and get y'all to compromise yourselves and y'all positions against the people, but y'all stood for the people. And too many people don't have the courage to take and do that. But all I'm gonna say is, man, look, it's on us. And the more we constantly wait for other people to come into our communities and tell us what we need to be doing, we're going to continue to be stuck in the same boat that we've been in.
Thank you, Great House. We appreciate you. I have to get Miss Alicia back on the line. Miss Alicia, good morning. Welcome to the Good Morning Show.
Good morning. As I said, just tell me you don't want me to call. Don't hang up.
Josh, look, Josh said Trump hung you up.
I just want to share, and I agree with the King who just got off the phone. My thing is we have to learn how to fight for what's ours. I'm going to give you a little quick story about me. I used to be, nursing was my former career. I was a program director at a facility on the West Bank. And it's a senior living facility. And the facility next door, we own that one too. And I'm sitting with the girl who was the program director, who's a white girl, came over to my center. She was hot. And she was hot because she found out this white guy at a center in Kenner who was part-time, made more money, which she thought was $2 more per hour than she and I. And when she exposed that, what they were making was more than me, I was incensed. And so she just was talking and ran, and so I let her talk. I was getting all the information. I said, well, I'm going to have to call our supervisor, who's a white woman in Oklahoma, who recruited me because I had more experience, I had more background, more intelligence, and I presented better than the white girl next door. So, and these were her words. So, and then Waldenberg chose me. So, I called a good friend of mine, white guy. He used to own 50% of Weight Watchers in the state of Louisiana and Mississippi. So I called him. I said, friend, let me tell you what they did to me. And so he said, well, let me tell you, dog. You just don't worry about it. Go home. This is a Friday. Go home, get you a glass of wine, and you call your supervisor after you have that glass of wine. And you call her, who was in Oklahoma, and ask her, tell her everything that you know, and ask her why those people were making more money. So I did. I called her. I said, you recruited me because of this, and this. I make more money than anybody in this five-state region. So I want to know why these people are making more money than me, because I want to know if it's because they're white and I'm black. Well, she went to stuttering. Well, y'all not supposed to be talking salaries. And you're right, whatever I have to take, because Karen came to my center and was upset because this boy who's a part-time was getting paid more than what she thought. She and I, because to find out both of them making more money than me. So I said, so whatever you got to do, think about it over the weekend. Give me a call on Monday and let me know how we're going to resolve this. Well, she didn't call me Monday. She called the brass in Tennessee called me, and they were like, well, we didn't know, we weren't aware of it, we just bought the company, blah, blah, blah. So what we're going to do, we're going to raise your salary up to this. Excuse me, oh boy, is a part-time. I'm full-time, and I make all the money for the company here. No, I'm not accepting that. Oh, well, how about I will call you back. Call me back. Well, we're going to give you $2 more than them. No, you're still not addressing the fact that one of them is a part-time. Oh, well, this is what we're going to do. So long story short, when they came back, they offered me $10 more an hour than those two together. And then they say, well, we're going to give you that. No. What about back pay? I said, because when you hired me 2 years ago, you hired me with this foolishness. So what about back pay? Got my back pay,
That's right.
got my raise, and we kept it moving. We have to learn how to fight.
Well, can I just say, though, too, that we have been fighting for a very long time, and I want to uplift a lot of people who have sacrificed their positions, who have sacrificed their reputations and their lives for fighting. I think we have fought the most, and we don't give ourselves enough credit for all of the fighting that we've had to do just to exist here. And our current our existence as Black people in this country is an experience where we have to fight our way through life. And I think that is an inhumane way to live. It is absolutely dehumanizing. And
Yes,
I think to some degree, certain people get tired of fighting because it is exhausting. I mean, you can Google my name and Google the city and county of San Francisco. I walked away with almost a $600,000 settlement from the city and county of San Francisco because of discrimination that I faced because of opportunities that I was not being given, but also they retaliated against me. So as Black people, we go through all of these unjust, unfair experiences, and we're human. And at some point, as we age, our body begins to respond to all of this mistreatment and all of these experiences. And so, I appreciate and am grateful for the fact that you, like me, were able to prevail in your situation. But as an HR management professional, I've seen so many instances where Black people are in the right and they were mistreated, they were discriminated against, they were harassed, and yet they are unable to prevail. So people are fighting. They just aren't necessarily...
I think we need to fight smart and don't give up the fight. I think they do things to wear us out. You can't wear me out.
Thank you, Miss Alicia. We appreciate you.
Y'all have a good one.
You too. Told you, Don said, look, it gets hot over here.
Yeah.
And so, and I appreciate the feedback that you gave to Miss Alicia, but I also wanted to circle back to who you were talking about, Edward Bloom. And I wanted to read something to you, and I want you to tell me what you hear, and I'll express to you what I hear. So when they interviewed him after he was successful with this affirmative action case, they said now with the legal victory in hand, Mr. Bloom is thinking about what's next in his work to remove the consideration of race from other parts of American life and law. In a wide-ranging discussion, he told me about how he'll be watching to make sure elite institutions of higher learning abide by the court's recent decision and why he thinks corporate America will be facing scrutiny next.
Yep.
Did you hear that? Did you hear
You got it.
Because
and that's where we are.
And the crazy thing about it is, what I heard in this is he don't care nothing about this whole affirmative action in terms of macro, right? He's thinking about those people don't belong in our elite institutions, and that's really what he was fighting for. He was fighting to get them out the Harvards of the world and the University of North Carolinas of the world. He don't care nothing about these HBCUs. Y'all could go there and go to school and all of that. He says, I want to make sure that our elite institutions of higher learning abide by the court's recent decision. And then he says, and I think corporate America will be facing scrutiny next. No, it's not you think, you know, because you already was in the room with the people who going to make the decisions to roll back diversity, equity, and inclusion. This is all, I tell people all the time, these folk play the long game. They don't do stuff for just immediate gratification. No, they plan for 2025 and 2020. That's what they do in 2000, right? Just like the takeover of our schools. It didn't start when Katrina happened. They were already planning the takeover. Katrina happened and just opened the door for them to implement the plan that they had already put together 10, 15 years before. So
I agree.
For us, Dante, and to your point that you were giving to Miss Alicia, like, and to Miss Alicia's point, like, she said they want to wear us down. That's exactly what they want to do, because we're fighting on so many fronts. We're fighting injustice on so many fronts. We have people living on toxic soil. We have people dying in Cancer Alley. We have people, do you know, in our city right now, in preparation for Super Bowl, they're moving our unhoused people into a warehouse for Super Bowl, but they have no plan for what's going to happen post Super Bowl, and they don't care, because the goal is to get them off the street, to make the streets beautified for the visitors and the tourists and all of this money that's coming into the city. They don't have a real plan because they don't care about a plan after the fact. They only care that they're not in the way for Super Bowl. You don't think that something is wrong with that?
I absolutely do. And I want to say this. I focus incessantly on various philosophers in my book, and some of them include Dr. Amos Wilson, Dr. John Henrik Clarke, Dr. Bobby Wright, I named earlier. We are dealing with people who have evolved inhumanely. Psychologically, they function inhumanely, morally, spiritually, inhumanely. They are bankrupt of any humanity and morality when it comes to people who are not like them. And I want to leave your audience with a quote. I think when I was here the last time, I shared this quote by Dr. Bobby Wright. But he says, in their relationship with the black race, whites are psychopaths, and their behavior represents a deep underlying biologically transmitted proclivity with roots deep in their evolutionary history. He's saying in this quote that if you look at the evolution of whiteness, of how whiteness evolved once white people deemed and established themselves as a white race, this is back in the 17th century, in the 1600s, when you look at the laws and the policies that are being enacted, that are literally defining what white people can do, what they cannot do, and you see laws that provide them permission to murder black people with impunity over and over and over and over and over again, what effect does that have psychologically to these people and the relationship, the psychological, emotional, and spiritual relationship that is developing within their race, within their community, and within themselves as it pertains to black people? And so we're dealing with people who are inhumane, and we are continuing to seek morality and some sense of conviction from these people. We will never see it, because America was founded for the purposes of exploitation and for the stabilization and sustainability of one group of people who are white people, which is why if you Google right now the 1790 Naturalization Act, which is the first act regarding citizenship that was ever enacted in this country, it focuses on whiteness as the variable upon which citizenship is based. And so the value system then, if whiteness is the variable that constitutes citizenship, that is the class system of this country. So when we're talking about race and class, we're talking about the racial system and structure as the primary class system of the United States of America.
Well, listen,
We're dealing with
Dante,
people who are bankrupt of morality.
it is always a pleasure to have you here. And you said on the air that you're going to take a trip to come sit in the studio, and I look forward to that day. And if you want to follow Dante King, it's Dante King official on social media. And is it DanteKing.com, Dante?
DanteKing.com. I'm going to get my team to arrange so I can be out there with you.
Absolutely.
I'm coming out there.
Please do. So DanteKing.com and Dante King official on social media platforms. As always, it is such a pleasure, and I look forward to being in conversation with you really, really soon. But thank you for everything that you bring to the table in service of our people, and I look forward to having some more conversations with you in the near future. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you, my sister.
Thank you.
Take care.
You too. Listen, we have to go to break, but on the other side of the break, we're going to wrap this thing up. I want to say thank you to Dante King for spending his entire morning with us, and thank you to the WBOK listening audience and all of the callers. But I'm going to give you my 2 cents on the other side. This is WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about all day long.
This is your news update for WBOK 1230 AM from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
We'll see a couple of spotty showers early, then mostly cloudy. Highs rise to the mid to upper 50s with a light breeze. There's another chance for spotty showers this evening, then dry. Lows will stay above the freezing mark tonight, 30s and the 40s. More sunshine for Thursday, highs in the 50s and the 60s. Next best chance for rain Friday into Saturday, then a blast of cold air next week. From the WDSU First Warning Weather Center, I'm Raven Richard.
Our daughter Jessie loves playing detective.
A clue.
But since we discovered she has sensitive skin, we've been playing detective too.
We thought the problem was our puppy.
But it was actually our old detergent.
Aha.
So we switched to Tide Free and Gentle. Tide Free and Gentle provides an excellent Tide clean, and it doesn't leave behind irritating residues like dyes or perfumes, so it's gentle on your skin.
Case closed.
If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Free and Gentle.
Who doesn't love a good surprise? From unexpected gifts to visits from the kids, it's always nice to know you're loved. But flu, COVID, and RSV can surprise you too. These viruses are 10 times more likely to hospitalize adults 65 and older than people under 50. So prepare yourself. Get vaccinated to be ready for whoever comes knocking next.
Hey, Grandma.
Hey, Ma.
What a surprise! Get this season's vaccines. Get started at vaccines.gov. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Visit DePaul's new Algiers Health Center at 2801 General de Gaulle Drive to receive primary and preventive care for both adults and children. Services also include behavioral health, imaging, and on-site pharmacy, vision, Medicaid enrollment assistance, and more. For appointments, visit DePaulCommunityHealthCenters.org or call 504-207-3060.
Our military faces a crisis. Recruitment down. Morale weak. Our leaders more focused on going woke than killing terrorists and defending America. President Trump nominated Pete Hegseth as Secretary of Defense to change things. Hegseth isn't an insider or a swamp dweller. He's a decorated veteran of the United States Army who deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan. And he's exactly who we need leading the Department of Defense. Hegseth will ban woke nonsense from our armed forces, strengthen our military, and make our soldiers proud to serve. Call your United States Senator at 202-224-3121. Tell them stand with Trump. Confirm Pete Hegseth as Secretary of Defense. Again, call your senator at 202-224-3121. Tell them to vote to confirm Pete Hegseth and make our military great again. Paid for by American Leadership PAC.
Hey everybody, it's Kimber White Dupree.
And it's Graylin Bryant Banks from the front porch. We're coming up next.
Good morning, Wake Up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK 1230 AM.
to the Good Morning Show. Happy Wednesday, everybody. We have a caller on line one. Good morning, John. Welcome to the Good Morning Show.
Hey, good morning. How you doing?
Hi, how are you?
I'm pretty good. I caught bits and pieces of the conversation, but it's very interesting. Yes, these people come from ice and snow. They evolved in an environment that was basically dog eat dog. They didn't come from plenty like we did. They came from a lack. So that's kind of honed the way they are. Then if you read the scriptures, it talks about Esau. He shall live off the fat of the land by his sword. And how does he basically rule? By violence, by force. And he influences a lot of things all over the world. By violence, he lives by the sword. But, much of this affirmative action and DEI hired, really when you analyze it, blacks have benefited the least from it anyway, particularly black men. If you're heterosexual black men, you never benefited from affirmative action. So if you look at from when it was implemented, it was primarily white women, then it became other so-called quote-unquote peoples of color. Very few blacks actually benefited from it. So that's why as it's going away, you don't really feel it. At least men don't. Black men don't feel it because we don't see where it's pushed us forward. Our focus should be on building our own communities like other communities come, because when they come here, even though they aren't white, like a lot of you Latinos and these different people, they behave white adjacent. They strive for white adjacency, even the black immigrants, because they understand the pecking order in the pyramid. That's why you have even black immigrants will try to disassociate themselves from black Americans or foundation black Americans. And we wasted too much energy carrying up too many people on our backs, and we see what that's gotten us. They've gotten ahead, they moved into their own little groups, and they disassociate themselves from us. Now they're trying to get us involved with this deportation, this Trump, getting rid of the migrants. I'm at a loss for words right now. And they want us to voice our opinion on that. And for the first time, we're learning sense to stay mute. If it don't benefit foundational black Americans, it even goes for the blacks, immigrants, who when they get into their little groups, they play them same little games. Hey, look, you're on your own. And I always said, these people need to go back to their countries, fight and die to make their countries better like black Americans did, to fight and die to improve things here. Go back to your own country, particularly the men, because they're letting too many military-age men into these countries, and that's a particularly dangerous threat to any country, and particularly a dangerous threat to our women, black women, because a lot of our black women tend to live alone. And you got a lot of men roaming around here, in a lot of places you don't know nothing about them. They commit a lot of sexual assaults. And so these are things we need to be mindful of.
I appreciate you, John. I got to wrap this show, but I appreciate your call.
I got you. All
Have
right.
a blessed one.
Be blessed.
Listen, the show has been dynamic today. I want to pay all homage to Dante King, and if you do not follow him, he is Dante King Official on social media, and you can also visit his website, DanteKing.com. I look forward to having more in-depth conversations with him. But what I will say is this. It's easy. It's very, very easy to talk about it, but very few of us are actually being about it. And I think for us to be able to survive and not only survive, but to thrive in a country that is doing everything it can to destroy us, we have to first understand the difference between those of us who are about us and those of us who simply present as us. Everything that is being done to us, in my opinion, cannot be as efficient as it is without black complicity. And until we realize that we got to sort it out, you got to put people in a box that they belong in, we're going to continue to struggle because we keep thinking because people present as black, because people come talk to you and promise you things in black face, that they're actually about black folk, black survival, a black agenda, black love, black unity. They're not. They will send us for us. And there's a proverb that says, the forest was shrinking, but the trees kept voting for the axe because the handle was made of wood. Y'all better stop pretending that everything that look like you is about you. And I don't like to have conversations about the others. I like to have conversations about us. Because until we sort us out, the others are going to always find vulnerabilities and places where they can take advantage. You better start sorting people out. And ain't nobody got to show me but one time who they are. Show me who you are and I'm going to treat you accordingly. I'm going to put you in the box that you belong in. Everybody can't sit at your table. Everybody can't eat your food. Everybody can't come in your house. Energy is real. They got a whole lot of people perpetrating frauds on their own communities. And until you realize who they are and you sort them out, we're going to keep on pointing fingers talking about them, they, others. No, you better start with us. Get them out your house. Get them out your community. Get them out your neighborhood. Stop voting for them. New Orleans, it's time. You better show us who you really are, because NOLA is breathing down your neck. I want y'all to stay tuned to the front porch up next with Graylin and Kimber. But as for me and the Good Morning Show, I'm going to catch y'all tomorrow on the other side. This is WBOK 1230 AM. I am your host, Dr. Ashanta Wyatt. See y'all later.